In this one, we're going to write a parabola, so it shows the vertex. This parabola will involve a fraction, keep that in mind. So I'm going to say y equals x squared plus, for example here, 3x, and then say minus 6. So the first step is this one. I'm going to call this step number 2. Step number 2 means you take and you focus only on the terms with the variable and ignore the negative 6 for now. You need to rewrite x squared plus 3x. So you do that by doing x, you put parentheses, put x, put half, always half of whatever the coefficient is on the x. That coefficient is 3, not the x. Do not include the x. Then you're going to have 3 halves. That's half of the coefficient on x. Put the 2 under the 3. Then you square this quantity. And as we have learned previously, if you multiply this portion out at step 2, this will give you an extra positive 9/4 according to FOIL. If you multiply this out, take a look. I'm going to do that on the side. This is a bit of a review. I'm going to say x plus 3 over 2, and then here x plus 3 over 2. So I'm going to do x times x. That's going to give me x squared. Then I'm going to do x times the 3 halves. I'm just doing FOIL over here. It's going to give me 3 half x. So I just did this one right here. Then I'm going to do 3 halves times x. That's another 3 halves of x. And I'm going to do 3 halves times 3 halves. That's going to give me an extra 9/4. You see that? And now take a look. Let's combine and simplify this. So it gives x squared plus. Now here I have 3 halves x plus 3 halves x. So you can add up the 3's. So 3 plus 3 is 6. The bottoms are already the same between the middle terms. So you just copy the 2 in the bottom and you add up the tops. 3 plus 3 is 6. And it ends up being 6 over 2x plus the 9/4. And then here I'm going to have x squared. And now 6 divided by 2 is 3x. And then plus that 9/4. So again, do you see that, for example, in the side work here, I'm going to label those steps A, B, C, and D. At step D, I have x squared. Back at step 1, I have x squared. Back at step D, I have 3x. Back at step 1, I have 3x. But now at step D, I have an extra positive 9/4. That extra positive 9/4 at step 1 is not present. For that reason, at step 2, make sure you subtract it. Do minus, always minus, the square of whatever this value is right here, the 3 halves. So in this case, it happens to be 3 halves. It could be some other value. So here you do always minus the square of whatever this value is right here. Whatever that value is, always minus the square of that. So it's minus 9/4 for that reason. And then you keep the minus 6. Then let's move on to step 3. I'm going to have y equals x plus 3 halves squared minus 9/4. And then here I need to put the negative 6, so it shows a 4 in the bottom. Remember, any whole number like 6 or negative 6 is really negative 6 over 1. And now I need to have negative 6 re-expressed as something over 4 instead, so I can do the subtraction of the fractions. So I'm going to do that as follows. Take a look. I'm going to take my negative 6 over 1, and I'm going to multiply that by 4 over 4. Remember, 4 over 4 is a form of the number 1. Only and ever you're allowed to multiply by a form of the number 1. So for that reason, take a look. I will have now negative 6 times 4, that's negative 24. And in the bottom I have 1 times 4, that's 4. And now I've rewritten 6 as negative 24/4. I'm going to say, therefore, y equals x plus 3 halves squared minus, and then you work on the fractions. Negative 9 minus 24 is negative 33 over 4. And then lastly, to write the vertex of the parabola, once you have it in this form right here, that's the appropriate form for recognizing the vertex. You take x plus 3 halves and you take the opposite of what you see. So because here it says x plus 3 halves, you take the opposite of the positive 3 halves and it becomes negative 3 halves. That's the x-coordinate of the vertex. Then you take that next piece, that's negative 33 over 4, and you put that as the y-coordinate of the vertex, negative 33 over 4. So that's the y-coordinate of the vertex. And then this form right here, where I'm placing the check mark, that would be the vertex form. And then the actual vertex itself, remember, as a point, and that would be this quantity right here, where I put the second check mark.